and others experience things through you. So it really starts with you. And many of us would have grown up with the knowledge that if you think about yourself, you're being selfish. But what is a ish? Something that looks like self. So it is really important that you focus on you, because you cannot help anybody else if you cannot help yourself first. So it's really nice that you're spending this time looking at yourself, reflecting, and understanding how you want to show up in your space. I saw Dana's screen light up a little bit. So there you are. There you are. And anyone else wanted to share while Dana sits? Kim, how was your week? Are you there? Well, Adana can see who G is. So, Adana, you could.
I can't. It just says get. I am not sure who it
So,
is.
we have a guest with us. Who's using guest? Tell
Usually
us how
they
was your
sign
week.
in and they don't put their names. That is how it would appear. It's not necessarily um somebody new.
Just always remember that if you don't want to speak, you could always just type into the chat, because we welcome you nonetheless. So, tonight's topic is listening beyond words. And I know Adana will have a really insightful question for us. So, we waited on your insightful question.
Well, actually, the question that I have before we start this evening session is, what have you been practicing? So we're coming on here every week and we're discussing a lot of different tools, a lot of different strategies, a lot of different ways that you can manage stuff, handle situations when you are faced with certain things. But what have you been practicing currently?
You know, it's a strange thing in that I what I've been practicing and what I want to practice don't seem to be coming together right now, because I'm able to not speak out aloud, but I had to realize that I'm still speaking in my thoughts. And so, where I thought I was practicing pausing and breathing, and it really was my version of it. So I had to take a look at that. So if you want to say what was I practicing between, well, it would be between yesterday and today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm practicing looking at how I am really doing things.
Okay,
Um, my version versus what is.
okay. Anyone else? Anastasia, are you there?
Yes, good night.
Hello,
What have
Anastasia.
you been practicing,
Um,
Anastasia?
I have been practicing living in the moment, and another thing that I've been practicing is one of my biggest struggles is attachment. That is one of my biggest struggles. So right now I have a little situation going on in my life, and I am so fighting not to fall into attachment. So yeah, and also mindfulness.
Okay.
Um, being mindful of the moment, embracing moments, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and really, really paying attention to life and how it's flowing and what is happening.
Yeah. And that is very, very, very important because remember, whatever you practice It's the world that you are creating for yourself, sometimes unknowingly. So it is important that you are mindful of what you are practicing, because sometimes you're practicing things, you're practicing routines, you're practicing patterns, you're practicing scenarios, you're practicing situations over and over again that are not working for you, but yet you keep practicing them. So therein lies the question of what have you really been practicing? And you would be seeing the results of it via your environment. And even when you look around yourself and you see the environment that you have created, know that it is a result of what you have been practicing. So
And I
it's
wanted to share that this week. Oh, sorry. Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay. This week I had a situation where I was talking with a friend of mine, and the person didn't understand. I'm telling this person that I no longer do so and so because I'm on a different journey now. And this person trying to convince me why I supposed to go back where I come from. And the person tell me all kind of thing, how I immature and I this and I that and I all kind of things just because I just decide not to be stuck no more and move on with my life. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell the person, it is quite all right if you see me as whatever you see me as. I do not have a problem because I know this journey that I am on is not the norm. And as long as you're doing something that is not the norm, people wouldn't understand. And people just criticize what they don't understand. You understand? I say, and I do not have a problem. Because before I come on this journey, I know exactly what I was getting myself into. And I am quite fine with you misunderstanding me.
Yes,
Okay?
yes,
And I will leave it alone. But they keep on pushing and pushing, but sending all kind of message, and I just decide that I am not answering and I am leaving it alone. And I was even at that point I was getting angry and I say, here what? This person come up in front of you to test your growth. I say, so you have no reason to get angry. You know,
yes,
you
yes,
didn't shrink, you didn't feel second guess your journey or anything like that. So that means here what it is. You're growing, right? So this was just a test you get to see if you're growing or if you're not growing. And
yes.
I was good.
And usually, sometimes, just like the story that was given, I think it was last week about Matthew McConaughey when he decided, I don't want to do any more comedies. And then the opportunities for comedies keep coming, 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 and he decided, I do not want to do anymore. So you see, life would always test, and whereas you made the choice to say, you know what, even though the test is here, I am not going to crumble and decide, well, let me go back to what has passed, or let me go back to, to the dustbin, let me go back to what is old to continue it to satisfy someone else. You understand the importance of being the best version of yourself and building the life that you would like to enjoy. And that is where it is important, because when the challenges come, a lot of time we throw our hands up in the air and decide, well, this is too hard, so let me just go back to what is familiar. But remember, what has passed, what is really growing there? Nothing is really growing there, no. So, Anastasia, keep it up. And you see, that is really what it is about. When the challenges come, it is about overcoming the challenge. And in doing so, remember, you're building your resilience. You are beginning to get stronger. And that is really what is important. Listra, are you there? I'm not sure if everybody is able to turn their mic on.
Yes, I am.
And what have you been practicing?
What, let me think now.
You heard the
What have
question?
I? Yes, I'm trying to be silent.
Okay.
trying to be silent, but I'm not succeeding, but I will succeed.
Okay,
I try my best to stay quiet.
okay. And in staying quiet, sometimes you stay quiet to observe, sometimes you stay quiet to listen. So remember, while you are being quiet, ensure that you are asking the questions that you would like the answers for, and ensure also that when you get the answers, that you act on it. So if you're here, do this by a certain time, ensure that you do it by a certain time. So that is also very good as well. Let me just call on one more person. Pat, are you there?
Yes,
And what have you been practicing?
trying to be at peace, trying not to get riled up and contentious. You know, when people say things, how it could get under your skin, and when you figure what they're saying wrong is about you, but not right. They have all the facts and all of that. So I would normally get real riled up when people say certain things. So I'm kind of working on it, not to be
Okay.
riled up, and I know the journey that I am trying to make and the steps that I have to go through, and therefore um I shouldn't really bother too much about people and what they think. They don't know what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Essentially, yes, because again, we are all living, we might even be in the same house, experiencing different worlds. So that is why it is really important to focus on what you need to focus on and try not to get distracted. Because once there is distraction, you would blink, and again, it's 2026, which we are now 11 weeks from, and it is coming fast and furious. I saw a post on social media today that says every 2 minutes is Monday, because that is what it is starting to feel like. Every 2 minutes is Monday. So,
True.
as we get into tonight's topic, which is listening beyond words, when you hear that phrase, what comes to you? What do you understand by that?
Listening,
Beyond words.
listening with your whole being, your whole presence. Trying to, well, not trying, listening beyond what the person is saying to you. So for me, it would be looking at, hearing the words, yes, but listening at the tone, looking at the body language, listening to hear if there's anything beyond it. Like sometimes, when people are quarreling, they're quarreling, and they're quarreling, but the words are just words. They really have a deeper issue behind the words. Fear, neglect, worry. Something is driving the words, but the words come out hurtful to your ears, but there's something else. And you tend to see that like when customers come and start to quarrel about things, if you pause a little bit and you ask them one or two things here and you get them to talk, you will hear that the issue wasn't the issue. So for me, listening beyond words is not putting yourself in the person's shoe, but listening sometimes without judgment, without coming to a conclusion based on only what you're hearing. Something like that. Yes.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yes, good night.
Good night.
Hello.
Yes, listening beyond with sometimes persons, sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes it's about the person themselves who needs to vent, who needs to get something off the chest, and you just happen to be a listener. And sometimes you just need to listen. You may not have to say a thing, Just listen and allow them to get it off and bless them.
Yes, 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 yes. Anyone else?
I was just thinking too that sometimes you meet some strange people you don't know at all, not family, you just meet them, like I'm going to the clinic, I'm on the bus, and you meet strange people. And sometimes they get into telling you a story, and that story is a real learning for you. There are some things that you could learn, and all you have to do is just quiet, quietly give them your full attention and listen carefully to what they say.
Hmm. That is indeed true because a lot of times we tend to listen in a lot of different scenarios, especially if you are in defense mode. You tend to listen only to respond and not necessarily to understand. And in doing so, you're not really grasping the whole picture. But what would happen is that you would tend to see that you're grasping really what is your perception only. You're really not grasping the full story. And in doing so, I know well for the ones who are on during the week where it was discussed that you're really creating a boundary around yourself. So nothing can come in because you make up your mind. You're listening to respond. You're not really listening to understand. And in listening to respond, you would find that things tend to get very, very, very difficult. You're not really absorbing. You're not really, because really and truly, you're not growing either because you put yourself in a space and you kind of, this is my plan, this is my tree, and I want it to stay to this height. And in doing so, you just have a plant, you just have a tree, it's not growing and not producing any fruit, it's not expanding, you're not watering the plant, because then what result you would want to see? And that is why the question was asked initially as well, in terms of what have you been practicing? Even when it comes to listening, are you practicing just listening to respond? Or are you practicing listening to really understand? Are you practicing listening to be defensive and defend yourself? Or are you practicing, that is something that I was unaware of? Okay, I could understand that. I could see that. That is why the question was really asked, what have you been practicing? When you look at you, and even if you're unaware of what you have been practicing, to know what you have been practicing, look at your results. What have you been producing? If you are producing things that you think that, okay, no, I do not like this, this is not really what I wanted to achieve, then what are you doing differently? What is the different choice you are making? Or are you still making the same choices and expecting a different result year after year, which we are going into a new year very shortly? So, would you say you listen to understand, or would you say you listen sometimes to respond?
I would say both of them. Sometimes they listen to respond, and sometimes they listen intentively to to learn something.
Why the difference between the two?
It sometimes depends on the situation and the environment you're in. If you're in a kind of quarrelsome kind of situation, you might just be listening to respond and to give back, and to, you know, and to be defensive and so on. But if you're in a more serene, peaceful kind of environment, you might be more open to listen with a quiet, to learn something, to only impart something if you really have to, if a question is asked or you know something differently that you could add to the conversation.
So then, why can't you do the latter in both instances?
Because your spirit and mind and things so taken up with defense, so possessed with defense that you're kind of neglecting to be more attentive and so on.
Okay. Anyone else?
I know for myself, I would like to say that I listen to understand. But the truth of the matter would be that, just like what Patricia was saying, sometimes you're not where you're supposed to be. You have not stopped to collect your whole self. And so, for me, sometimes I allow the situation or the person, place, thing to dictate the listening. Like, for example, there's a situation now, and someone is really asking for advice, but I recognize today that in reading their request, I was probably in a physically tired space,
Mm-hmm.
and I did not want to deal with what I saw as just another unnecessary issue. And so I read the request and I left it until I can collect my whole self. And I'm not physically tired and mentally drained to be able to address in a complete way that person's request for information. Because other than that, it would be a case I know I would do them short. I know I would do them short. And even though I'm listening to the voice note and I have to practice the listening in a complete way. So I was able to identify, listen, I'm tired right now. I'm feeling tired. And I need to be physically and mentally alert to be able to address this. Otherwise, I can make a mess of it. So I have not responded. And so, in that sense, when you're not 100%, as we say, I would tend to listen through perception as opposed to the correct thing to do, which is just listen, just listen, and then address what is in front of you without bringing in your view and your feelings about something or the person or the situation. And so, yeah, I'm practicing that
Okay.
and planning to be successful at it.
Okay. And Anastasia, are you there? How do you practice listening?
How do I practice?
Listening. Do you listen to respond
Oh,
or do you listen intently to understand?
I normally listen intently. I like listening. I like being on the listening end more than the talking end. But If I am arguing, it depends on how I am feeling. If I'm so hurt about what the person telling me, I don't want to hear you. I want you to hear me. Okay? Because you're hurting my feelings and I just feel, well, I could give it to you. And in that way, I really don't want to hear what you have to say. But when I cool down, yes, we could have a conversation after I cool down. Right? But why things in the heat? Then have no listening with me.
Mm.
I going on.
Okay. So there is listening to be reactive, and there is listening, intensive listening. If, just as Catherine explained, you know that you're not in this space right now to listen intently, you could give yourself some time and then get back to it. So even for me, if sometimes I just need a few minutes and my phone is ringing, I will not answer the call. Give yourself the time. If you know that before you eat, you cannot function, you can't think, you can't talk, eat something, then you could get back to the person, or even as Catherine suggested, if you're tired, you could even take a nap, because you would find that in taking a nap, you tend to reset some things. If you might need to go for a walk, you need to go to the beach, you need to reset, and then have the conversation. Because having the conversation, or even communication where it is simply reactive, what you don't tend to notice is that within the reaction, you're really utilizing a lot of unnecessary energy. Yeah? Because at the end of the day, what the communication going to lead towards? No results. Because you listening to react and the other person might be listening to react at the same time. So then what you have more anger, more animosity, and you're just utilizing energy for what purpose, when at the end of the day you're not getting the results that you wanted in the first place. So it is really better if you take the time, and then sometimes you would recognize it's a simple conversation and you realize it was just miscommunication. And you probably holding on to a grudge, holding on to something that was simply a miscommunication. Or just as Catherine said, this person was tired. They might have misunderstood what you asked. They responded. They misunderstood your response because you didn't understand what they were asking in the first place because you were tired. And then this would have turned into something totally, you make the molehill now into a mountain. And then you hold on to this grudge for the next 6 years over something that was simply a miscommunication. And remember, in doing so, and again, if this is something that you practice unknowingly, remember, it's as though you set a boundary around yourself, and you are practicing this every single day. Every single day. And expecting a different result. And I want you all to listen to this scenario. Right? So everybody here, everybody alert, everybody in this moment. Nobody is in tomorrow thinking about what I have to do, what I have to cook, how much traffic to go to work. Everybody is here, yes?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. So think of this. Every day, you're here, every day is a new opportunity to create what you want. So think of this. You get up tomorrow, there is a clean slate. So think of it as you have a clean field. Everybody have the same plot of land to create whatever they want to experience, right? So I want to experience going to Disneyland. So tomorrow I am focused, right? Because in the early you're excited. So I get up and tomorrow I start building and creating the experience that I would like to enjoy, right? So tomorrow, let's say tomorrow is Monday. So that is what you start. Then on Tuesday, Monday evening, somebody get you angry. So Tuesday morning, on your clean plot of land that starts anew, you bring all the garbage that you sent to the dump and you put it on your plot of land on Tuesday because somebody got your vex Monday morning, Monday evening. And then it continued on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, new slate again. But now you bring all the garbage from Monday evening, Tuesday now, and you're putting it on your clean plot of land on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, you got up. You had a lot of things to do. Now rain start to fall. So a lot of the things you had intended to do, you can't do it anymore. So again, on your clean plot of land now, while you are attempting to do what you wanted to do, you accidentally hit a car. So now this now is added to the clean plot of land. So when you look at your clean slate every day, you're bringing all of yesterday into today on your clean slate. And that is what you are creating every day, unknowingly.
Well, by Tuesday, you no longer have a clean slate.
And this is
You,
what it
you're
is. So you're bringing all the garbage, all the rubbish, all the burdens, all the worries, all the problems, and every day on your clean slate, you're packing all these things. Instead of getting up in the morning and asking yourself the question, self, what is required for me today? And you start to build from there. Instead of starting every morning dragging all these things along with you onto your clean slate. And then when you experience the same things, the same personalities and different people, the same experiences everywhere you go, you want to know if something is wrong with you, something has to be wrong with me. I blight, I probably need a bush path. But what have you been creating for yourself? When you get up in the morning on your new plot of land, what are you creating? What are you building? What are you communicating out into the universe? Because if you're listening to respond, there's a lot of things the universe might be trying to tell you and you're not paying attention to it because you're listening to respond, you're not listening to understand. So everything working together to bring to you what you require, but yet because you're holding on to everything of yesterday and you're so focused on bringing it into today that you can't even comprehend what you have in front of you right now. You can't even see the fork that you need. You can't see the spade. You can't see the rake. You cannot see all the things that are right in front of you to build and create what is required for your world, for you to enjoy because you focus so much on yesterday. So even because you focus on yesterday, what you're communicating out to everything.
yesterday.
Exactly. And because you're communicating to just respond and not understand, how many different things and opportunities are you blocking yourself off of? Countless. So sometimes you might be asking, okay, I need to get this done. I need to get this done. But how do I get this done? But you're so focused on yesterday, you don't see the tools right there. Remember, within you, you have everything that is required to create the life that you want to enjoy. But if your focus is not on you, you cannot even see it, you can't find it. How would you navigate? How have you been navigating? And where are you navigating from? Are you navigating from you, okay, self, what is required for me today? Or are you navigating from frustration and feelings of being overwhelmed and feelings of anger and feelings of stress? What have you been navigating from? Where are you currently standing? If you want to experience something new, you have to make a different choice. And sometimes you're trying to hold on to what has gone, but you have to focus in the moment. You really have to focus in the moment, and you would recognize that focusing in the moment would really allow you to listen and really understand. Because sometimes your phone ringing, you're watching the phone ringing, and you're saying you don't make up your mind what the conversation going to be. How much of us have done that? You make up your mind this conversation going to be XYZ LMNOP. And then when the conversation happens, whereas you're thinking, oh gosh, this conversation going to be a burden, the person wants to tell you, you know, I saw this thing that you were always asking for and I have it half off. You want me to buy it for you? Because you're blocking yourself off.
Hmm.
You're blocking yourself off. And you really don't know in the moment how many opportunities you're really blocking yourself off of because you have been listening to respond for a very, very long time. Because when you're communicating, you're really supposed to be active. And you know, you're deliberately listening. And in doing so, that would transform a lot of conversations. It would strengthen relationships. And another thing that we do, we listen to correct the other person. And in listening to correct the other person, that is really you doing it from your perspective because you're expecting the other person to be like you, to do the same things as you do, to make the same choices that you are making. When they are a totally different person, you all are not even the same. You're really, really not even the same. So, again, in terms of your practices, when you get up in the morning, ask yourself the question. I know tomorrow you might still bring 100% of yesterday, last week, last month, for the last how much years, right? But every day practice reducing it because it is not required for you moving forward. It's not required, because it's keeping you stuck. It's not required. It's keeping you stuck. It's keeping you stuck. It having you feeling weighed down. You don't understand why you're feeling like this. It really, really keeping you stuck. And you may not even understand why it keeping you stuck, but it really is. And it really doesn't have to, because you could make a different choice. Even when you look out and you think this might be too difficult, you could simply make a different choice. You do not have to wait until it's life or death to make the choice. Why do we keep doing that? Why do you think that that is? You're making the best choice when you have no other choice.
The best choice, making the best choice.
Yeah, you tend to make the best choice when you have no other choice. When you could really make the best choice now in this moment. Even if you make the best choice and you decide, okay, I am attempting this, even if you attempt it for 5 minutes, then you made a good attempt. Tomorrow you could attempt it for 6 minutes. And even as we are close to the close of another year, do you all know what you want for yourself? Are you clear on what that is? Or are you still unclear? Because even in listening beyond words, knowing what you want for yourself is also part of that, eh? Because if you're unclear about you, then what are you communicating? Are you communicating based on clarity? Are you communicating based on confusion? Are you communicating based on chaos? What are you truly communicating based on?
You know, Adana, you make a real good point there because if you can't listen to you, then you won't be able to listen to nobody else,
No, no.
and so much times ourselves talking to us and we not listening to ourselves. We
Exactly.
quieting, we ignoring and all of that. And if we doing ourselves that, then if we doing ourselves that, then it's the same thing we'll be doing other people.
And that is why the question initially was asked, what are you practicing? When you really look at it, what are you practicing? And you're seeing how you're really cutting yourself off from so many different things, starting with you. Because if you don't even know what you want, if you cannot even communicate clearly what you want, if you cannot clearly create what you would like to enjoy, then what are you communicating out there? What are you building towards each and every day? What is on your plot of land? Because remember, everything starts and ends with you. Because if you get up in the morning and you decide this is enough, my back is against the wall, I'm not doing this anymore. If you decide to start something new tomorrow, you would start something new tomorrow. If you decide this is the end of this, I am moving on to something else, then it would be the end of it. You are moving on to something else. But what do you want for yourself? Do you want the same thing everybody else wants that is not even for you? And then when you don't get it, you stand yourself down at the guilt trip because you didn't get it when that wasn't even for you in the first place. So you see, it is within those simple instances you tend to create a lot of confusion and frustration for yourself because you're getting up, you're just falling into the pattern, and then you're continuing whatever the pattern was without asking the question, what is required for me today? And even sometimes you get what is required for you today and you ignore it. So, what are you truly communicating? And that is a question you really need to ask yourself, especially as we go into this week, because this week, that is what we would be discussing during the Be Better series. Because this week is really about communication. What are you sending out there? What was the energy you're sending out? And if you think that the energy you're getting back is nothingness, then you know what you have been sending out. And I know a lot of you all are very quiet, but I hope it is because that you all are really, internalizing and assessing and thinking, because this week is a really, really important week as we continue, because you realize that the sessions during the week, they are getting more and more precise, and you are really required to be alert, be precise, because that is what is happening, and you really, really have to put these things into practice. Even if you do not understand, even if you may not comprehend completely, sometimes you just have to make this step and let me practice this and see what happens. You really, really, really just have to practice. So let me let you all know what is happening and how everything is really tying in um for this week. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so tomorrow from 10 a.m. we have the B Squad Youth Program. Then from 6 p.m. we have the True Language of Collaboration, where we would be discussing communication that opens dialogue and sharing. Because really, sharing is really important. Because remember, we are all connected and we are all within this space together as one. Then from 7 p.m., we have the Be Fit, Fuel, and Flex full body workout sessions. And on Wednesday, we have our B Squad Youth program from 10 throughout schools in Trinidad. And then from 6 p.m., we would be discussing clarity, confidence, and brevity. Securing thoughts before we speak, which is another important thing because a lot of times we just let the thoughts come through our mouth. And again, clarity. Look at the words clarity, confidence, and brevity. Remember, you need clarity to move yourself forward. You need confidence to move yourself forward. And you also need brevity to move yourself forward. So, again, this is a really important session. And on Thursday from 10, we also have the B Squad Youth program. And then from 6 p.m., we would be discussing nonverbal intelligence, reading cues, signs, and responding effectively. Sometimes you hear persons might say, this person don't know how to read the room, boy. They come into the room and they don't know how to read the room at all. So if it is something that you are interested in, please remember to log on Thursday. Then from 7, we have the Be Fit Fuel and Flex Full Body Workout sessions as well. On Fridays from 10, we have counseling and consultations. And then from 3 p.m., we have Free to Be, where you can celebrate, relax, restore, and unwind by appointment only, of course. So if you are interested, please let us know. On Saturday from 10 a.m., we have our B Squad Super Saturdays. And then from 3 p.m., we are closed. And then on the 25th of October, we have our Wacky Workout aerobic session with Paulie Trainer, which starts from 5 to 6 p.m. at our Balance Center in Charleville. And of course, there are prizes to be won for the wackiest outfits. And if you are interested, you can text Wacky to 336-1809, or you can message us via the Be by Befitment app. So, guys, I would also like to share a post from social media. This post here that says, the structures you have adopted from past to now can no longer support you moving forward. How many of you are trying to do the same things in the past and it is becoming very frustrating?
Yep.
All right. When
Yep.
change is imminent, how can you usher in the new while still holding on to the old? Do you understand what that means? Like when change is imminent, how can you usher in the new while still holding on to the old? You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
So then why are you the goner holding on this branch that can no longer support you? Just as in the image. You are no longer a little iguana. You have grown, you are a full grown adult, and you still holding on to this branch, hoping that it would support you moving forward. The branch going to break, You are going to hit the ground. You are going to hit the ground. You better hope in the image under that there is ocean that you could fall into the water so that you won't hurt yourself too much. But guys, remember the experiences are coming for you to test you, for you to make the different choice. That is why the experiences are coming. And remember, even as you look at communication for this week, it is important that even when you sit for these sessions, now that is why we have the breathing exercises before, because you really have to prepare yourself to receive whatever the message is. Because again, sometimes you come, you sit for these sessions, and you have all the stress of today, yesterday, last month, everything weighing on you. Then how can you truly receive what is required? Then you will not really be able to receive it fully. And again, in doing so, you're blocking yourself off from the full experience of things. So then how can you put the things into action? How can you practice it when you keep blocking yourself off? Because even when you come on to be fitment sessions, then you're coming on just to say, well, I'm coming on. Or are you really coming on to practice? Remember, this is why befitment is here to show you that there really is a different way to live. But what are you choosing to do with the tools on your plot of land? You're leaving them on the ground and you keep bringing more garbage? Or are you going to get up and say, okay, let me see what is required for me today and find out, okay, self, what is required? Before looking to yesterday to try to determine what is required for today. Are you all there?
Yes.
I know that you all are very,
Yes.
It is deep. It is deep. So we are reflecting. We are
We listen.
holding every word.
I really, really hope so. Because especially you see this week is a very important week because remember, communication starts, well, everything starts and ends with you, but communication really starts with what you have been creating for yourself. So we would also be examining it both verbally and non-verbally. Because even though you might not say it, what you're exuding, what your energy stating about you, you know? What are you truly sending out? When you think you might be sending out something, but in actuality, what are you truly sending out? And this is important. You see, especially guys, you want to practice certain things before 2026. You don't want to enter a new year the same way, bringing the same garbage on your plot of land every day. Probably imagine in 2026 you have garbage from 2020 to now
Uh-uh.
on your new plot of land.
We're not new anymore.
Exactly. But you, if you're bringing it every day, you're bringing everything from 2020 forward. Every day, you're bringing the same thing. Who got your vex from COVID? What somebody tell you from COVID? And you're bringing everything into 2026. You really have to ask yourself the question, what are you creating for you? Every day is a new opportunity. And you're asking yourself, self, what is required for me today? And that is your starting point. Your starting point is not looking at yesterday to determine what is required in this moment. That is not your starting point. So remember, as we approach this week, when you log on, be open to receive and do not block yourself off of anything. Really be open to receive. Be open to examine yourself. Be open to practice something new, not just learn something new. Because a lot of times we learn it and it stays right there. You don't practice it. You just learn it for learning its sake. So be open to practice the wisdom starting this week. And I look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. If you all are not premium members, sorry, feel free to reach out to us to do so. For those who have any communication questions, remember you can jot down your questions and you could ask your questions during the session so that you are sure moving forward you can communicate clearly what you want and also create it for yourself and not just hope and have faith that you get it. Ensure that you are communicating clearly because if you are receiving confusion, and you are receiving frustration, you are communicating that. If you are experiencing stress, you are receiving stress, you are communicating that. You know? So really look at things differently. And even in making the same choice and in making the same patterns that you are adopting, remember, if you do not know where you are going to stay where you are.
Hmm.
You must first know where you are going if you are to make a different choice. Because again, everything starts and ends with you. If you get up in the morning and you decide there is no more of this, you are going to make a different choice. If you get up in the morning and you're back against the wall and it is life and death, you are going to make a different choice. Why are you waiting to get to that point? You don't have to wait to get to that point. So, guys, I hope that tonight's session was, a little eye opening, a little food for thought, especially as we focus on communication this week. You know, and there is another way to live. There is another way to live. And remember that your life belongs to you. Do not consume it with the lives of other people. Your life belongs to you. Create what you would like to enjoy. Do not consume your life with the lives of other people, because they are consuming their lives with their lives and creating the lives that they would like to experience and enjoy. All right. So see you all tomorrow for the Be Better series. Come with your questions. Come open to receive. Do not come weighed down. And you're mindful of thoughts. Come clear and open to receive. So good night, everyone, and see you all tomorrow.
Good night, everyone. Good night,
Good night.
Lisa.
Good
I hope
night.
your tongue feels better. Good night,
Exactly,
everybody.
honey.
Night,
Good night. Good night.
good night, killers.